Thanks for those who have joined us for today's press availability for new Waterloo Blackhawks head coach Matt Smaby. It's an exciting day. We're glad to have those of you with us from the media that have been able to attend, and glad to be with those of you who are watching a recording of this on the Blackhawks social media channels. It is a unique day for the Blackhawks. We're glad to have Blackhawks head coach Matt Smaby with us, of course. It's his day. We're also glad to be welcoming in just a moment Blackhawks President P.K. who will talk a little bit about the hiring process that brought Coach Smaby to Waterloo. Some background: from 1979 to 1999, the Blackhawks had 17 different head coaches in a span of about 20 or 21 seasons. So this did not used to be quite as newsworthy as it is today. Of course, over the last 19 seasons, the Blackhawks have had one head coach. So the Blackhawks' fortunes have obviously changed quite a bit, and this is perhaps a more newsworthy occasion than it would have been in those prior decades, the 1980s and 90s, as a result. Besides being the new head coach of the Waterloo Blackhawks, Matt Smaby was a professional player for 11 years, including 4 seasons in the National Hockey League. He's very well regarded by those who know him at this point a little bit better than we do, but we're excited to get to know him. There's some information that's here for those that are on hand with some quotes from some notable hockey people. We'll share a couple of those in detail now and have more at WaterlooBlackhawks.com, but Matt Smaby is extremely well prepared for the challenge of coaching at the USHL level. This is a tremendous opportunity and a perfect match for a young man ready to do a great job. There is no one who will be more committed to his team, his community, and his players than Matt Smaby. That quote from Dave Hackstall, the head coach of the Seattle Kraken, who was formerly the head coach of the North Dakota Fighting Sioux from when Matt was a player there. Also, Matt is an outstanding person. He's a tireless worker. He's a very smart hockey person. Working for us at North Dakota, he typified what we are: team first, very humble, very hardworking. And what he's going to do for that organization, the Blackhawks, and those young players, is to give them a lot of great details and habits to add to their game. That quote from current head coach Brad Berry of the North Dakota Fighting Hawks, who also brought Coach Smaby on staff in 2017. And before we hear from Coach Smaby, we'll hear from Blackhawks head coach P.K. O'Handley, former Blackhawks head coach and current team president P.K. O'Handley, about the hiring process, which began in late June.
Thanks, Tim. It's a great day for the Waterloo Blackhawks to welcome Matt as our new head coach. The hiring process was exhaustive, but I'll say Matt's character, preparedness, I want to say urgency. It became clear rather rapidly in about a 6-week time frame when we first spoke that he was the guy. And that says a lot, because we had a lot of great candidates for the position. It's an honorable and proud day for me to introduce the new and next head coach of the Waterloo Blackhawks, Matt Smaby.
Thank you for the kind words. I would like to at least start by thanking Mr. Peterson, PK, for this opportunity. It's a tremendous organization. There's a rich tradition and history here. And it's in a wonderful community with wonderful fans. So I cannot begin to convey my excitement level here. I'm honored. I'm honored to be the next head coach of the Waterloo Blackhawks. I'd like to thank my family. I'd be remiss by not doing that. My wife Jenna, my daughter Sloan, my son Jack, who are extremely excited for this opportunity as well. They're looking forward to getting down to the community, getting involved, and then being a part of it together. So thank you to them. This organization has goals and standards, and those standards and goals are high. I understand that. There's an expectation to win, which is a good thing. As a coach, I'll tell you, I share those same expectations, but I also understand that the USHL is a developmental league. and that my job as a coach is to develop players and balance that with winning. So, our players will become better hockey players this season, for sure. But they'll also grow as people. We're going to have a huge emphasis on that. I spent the last couple days calling players, reaching out, introducing myself, getting to know them. And throughout those conversations, the players were engaging. They were mature. They could hold conversations. And I think that speaks to the work that the organization has done before I got here. Obviously, the winning and the tradition speaks for itself, but getting to know these people as well, I can't begin to tell you how impressed I was by getting to know some of these kids, which I hope to get to know better here in the next couple days. I'm extremely excited for the season. I'm extremely excited for these challenges. I'm excited to get to work. I am a tireless worker. No stone will be left unturned. I would like to thank PK for this wonderful opportunity, for the wonderful work that he's done over the course of his career here. They're big shoes to fill, but I'm very excited for that. I'm excited for the next phase of Waterloo Blackhawk hockey, and I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be the next head coach, and I can't wait to get to work.
We'll take questions if those of you have.
Did you know anything about Waterloo before your job interview?
I did. I did. I never played in the USHL. I went right from Shattuck to University of North Dakota. I knew about Waterloo. I knew about the tradition of producing players and the history that was here. It doesn't take too many phone calls or conversations to understand the level of respect that people have for what's gone on here. So this is my first time in the city itself, but I've done a lot of legwork behind the scenes to understand what's gone on, why it's thought of so highly, and why it's so special.
And then, did you know PK prior to this?
P-
Anybody with the Blackhawks organization?
Obviously players. I've crossed paths with many players throughout the years of playing and coaching as well at University of North Dakota. I did not know PK. We connected earlier on this summer and had a wonderful conversation. We talked hockey, we talked philosophy, we talked people, and I knew right away that I felt a connection there. It was a great talk, and from that conversation you can tell. I know he talks about the relationships he's had with players that have moved on, and I can see why. He's a very thoughtful guy, very smart guy, and obviously there's a wealth of hockey knowledge there, which I really enjoyed picking his brain on and talking to him about.
Were some of those conversations like that, like Ryan Hill and Jordan Parisi?
I haven't had conversations with those guys, but obviously I know some of the bigger name Brock Bessers. I coached guys when I was at UND who were fresh out of their time at Waterloo, and I have many hockey connections. Just haven't been in the game for so long. So, hockey's a small world, and people know the ins and outs pretty well.
What style of play will Blackhawk fans see out of the new coach?
So, the Blackhawks, we will be aggressive, we will be unrelenting, we will be extremely competitive. Actually, I think annoyingly competitive is probably a better way to put it. We're going to expect to win. We're going to be a confident group, for sure. And I'm excited to teach. I'm excited to coach. And I'm excited to help these players see and understand what it is my vision is for this team.
What do you see the biggest challenges being the head coach at this level?
Well, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. Balancing winning and development. Development's a huge thing. I don't think you can have winning without development, and I understand that takes time and effort. As a coach, you have 23-ish different players, 23 different development plans, and those have to be thoughtful. You have to understand people. You have to know who they are, what buttons to push, what they really need to work on. And I've been around some great coaches with great plans, and I think we have that here. But whatever those challenges will be, I'm excited for it.
How much do you feel like your background professionally helps with the younger guys?
So I retired 4 seasons ago. I remember what it's like to be a player. I remember what it feels like out on the ice. I remember and have thought about the coaches that made a huge impact on me, what it meant to have someone that I felt was really invested in getting me better. My process to get here started a long time ago, and it started while I was playing. I've been thoughtful about what I wanted to be given an opportunity like this, and I've prepared myself for a long time. So my experience as a player, I think is an asset to have, and that's something I wanted to convey to the kids. I get it. I've been in your shoes. I've been in that development path. I've felt the pressures that those kids have felt, and I think that's a great thing to have, having done it not too long ago.
Are you prepared for those 10-hour bus rides now? You get how much time in the morning?
10 hours is easy. I think I've been on plenty of buses in my life. So it's, that's part of the game. It's part of growing up for these kids to understand some of those challenges as well. I'm not too far removed from doing it. The seats, being my size, that can be a challenge sometimes, but we'll find a way to make it work.
Have you been able to get to Young Arena yet? Did anybody tell you about what to expect, Party Town?
I went over there first thing this morning. I got up, I showered, and I went right over to the rink. Started poking around. There's a lot of great stuff there from teams in the past, understanding the tradition and history, seeing it on the walls, and then I walked right out to the ice. And that was one of the first things I wanted to do, is to see the rink. Understand it, excited for it, and can't wait for it.
Could you talk about the spectrum of ages of players that you've already coached in a very short time, from players who are younger than Blackhawks players up through professional players?
Sure. So obviously college-age players I've coached quite a bit. The 2 years at University of North Dakota after I retired playing. I spent 2 years there coaching college-age kids. From there, I went and coached at the pro level in Salzburg. We had a range of age from 18 to older than I was. So I coached players that were older than I was, which was a great challenge, guys that I'd played with and against. And then last year, coaching 14-year-olds. So my philosophy didn't change coaching at any of those levels. I think it's important to be able to communicate information based on where those kids are, based on what it is that they can understand, and distilling a message that's receivable and you can communicate clearly. So I have a 7-year-old hockey player too, so that's also a challenge to communicate with that. Granted, I have to wear the dad hat and the coach hat sometimes. I tried just to wear the dad hat, but I've had plenty of opportunity to coach players of all different skill levels, all different ages. The philosophy stays the same. The communication and the teaching varies depending on where those kids are at.
You were a second-round NHL draft pick, and there are players who will be on this year's Blackhawks team with legitimate aspirations to be in that same place that you were at that same age. There are others that have a little further to go to get there. How do you balance working with those different talent levels and developing everybody to whatever degree they're able to?
Sure. I feel as though your job is to coach, or as a coach, is to help people and players get to places that they weren't sure they could get to themselves. There's always a variance of skill level. There's always a variance of draft pick versus non-draft pick. And I touched on my development plan early on, but I think it's understanding, one, for myself, two, helping them understand as well what they're good at, where are their areas of weakness, what can be improved in a short period of time, and then also a big term, longer play, big picture goal. What are the things you can work on and where do you want to get to?
Yeah. Can you kind of touch again on like your initial interview with Coach Smaby and what stood out?
Well, as Coach said, it really wasn't an interview. It was a hockey conversation, life conversation. And You know, when you look at this organization, there's, you alluded to the fans yourself, there's a certain level of how we play, which is, in, I think, coaches and the former coach's estimation, aggressive and unrelenting. We were a little different when I started. It was aggressive and relentless. Same, right? So this is a hardworking community and a group of loyal fans, some, I'm guessing, third generation. And as we talked, it became clear to me, at least on the hockey side, that the style of play he would put in would be what our fans would enjoy, and more important than that, our players would enjoy from a development perspective and fun play perspective. And then you talk about culture, something that I personally am proud of, the culture that we have here in Waterloo, and Matt's beliefs, his core beliefs, who he is as a man, as a dad, as a husband. I couldn't be prouder, and it became clear and more clear as the conversations went that he is the right guy to put his own stamp on this and carry it the way it should be carried in my estimation and upper management's estimation.
In your new role, how much input do you have to give to the new coach?
He's the new coach. I'm not going to coach the hockey team. If he wants my help, he knows this. I'm more than willing and probably able to assist. But this is his job. Will I help? Of course I'm going to help. Will I oversee? Of course I'm going to oversee. But I'm at a level in my career that I don't need to keep a thumb on. It's his job. We have I think Matt alluded to it, a good group of guys, good human beings with good character and good players that, and relatively all new for the most part to the team, that I think is an exciting time for those, the coach and the players, to mesh and get married and hopefully carry on with a lot of success.
Just one question for Coach, but the assistant staff still going to remain the same?
You know, we're graduating into more of an NHL model, so we will have layers of hockey management. Matt and myself will find assistants that are comfortable. Shane will stay in his role as the general manager, a role which he is exceptional at and has proven that. And you can't win in today's USHL without players. And Shane will do that along with our scouting staff that we feel is tremendous at this point in time. You set a coach up to fail if he doesn't have players. And it's become a major component at this level of hockey that not only do you need the best people, but you do need guys that can play the game. Thank you.